Hey guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart, and today in this video, I'll be showing you how to install the TST Industries brake light modulator on your bike. Now, a brake light modulator, sometimes called a strobe, sometimes called a brake light flasher, what it does is basically enables you to install some electronics on your bike so that when you press your brakes, the brake light flashes in some kind of pattern and alerts the drivers behind you that you will be stopping. Our particular brake light modulator comes pre-wired to a plug that interfaces with a sub harness that we provide specific to your bike model that enables plug-and-play functionality with your bike. So that means that the installation is really fast and you can do it yourself. Now, the electronics inside, we do have the ability for you to program this unit to 3 different functions and then subsequently adjust the rate of the effect to your liking. Our first programmable mode is strobe alert. This mode will produce 9 flashes and then stay solid for the duration of the brake engagement. Second one is intermittent pulsar. Each cycle will flash 10 times and then pause, and then these cycles will repeat for the duration of the brake engagement. The last available option is pulsar, and this one just basically provides continuous flashing for the duration of the brake engagement. Now we will show you how to install this. It's really simple. And then after the installation chunk, I will show you in detail how to get inside here, how to program the different modes, and how to alter the rate of those different modes. We did think about the safety of such devices during the design phase. So we decided to design this in a way that it will be a pass-through component. In case you experience a failure on board here, it will just pass through your normal brake function, which means you press your brake light lights up, there's just no effect. In case you do experience that failure, we do offer a warranty, so we have guys standing by in our support department that will take your call, email, Facebook message, whatever, and we'll get you replaced. And that's pretty much it. I'm really excited to show you guys just how easy this is to put on and configure. So let's get started.
Coming over to the bike, you can see this is a Yamaha TW200. This is actually a 2006 model. It is important to note this bike has been the same since the late 80s. 1987 was the first year they made the Yamaha TW200, and it has gone unchanged all the way up to 2022, outside of in 2001 where they ditched the kick start and the front drum brake and replace that with a disc brake and the electric start. This installation method that we are about to jump into will be the same across the board from the very first TW200 all the way to the latest. It is important to note that this is an incandescent bulb inside this tail light, and there's only one bulb inside there, meaning the single light will illuminate the tail light and the license plate light underneath, which illuminates your plate. Introducing our strobe, our brake light modulator to this, and the strobe brake effect will result in your license plate light flashing with the brake as well. So please keep that in mind. When you switch to an LED setup like our integrated taillight and fender illuminator system for this bike, you will see the full effect of the strobe brake alert should you choose to purchase that. Our integrated taillight does not come with that function by default. Some of our other options do. This unit does not. We kept it real slim and simple, low cost, and pretty easy to install. It's all plug and play, so be sure to stop by our website, TST Industries, check that out if you have any questions, comments, concerns. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. This is a pretty simple installation process. We only need to remove 2 bolts and then plug it all in. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So the only 2 bolts we're focusing on are the 2 bolts located on the rear underside of the fender. These are the bolts holding the fender to the subframe. This is a 10mm socket on a ratchet. So we're gonna go ahead and remove those bolts. And it's important to know when you drop these, unlike a normal fender, the fender won't drop because the turn signals are actually holding it to the rest of the subframe. So you can remove these bolts without fear of the entire assembly dropping. And now with those 2 bolts and their respective washers removed, we can pivot back to the top and the rear of the bike and show you the rest of this process. With those bolts removed, you can now see we can pivot the fender down all the way until it hits the tire. The only thing we're worried about are these 3 bullet connectors right here. So we're going to free them from their locking tab in this cable routing guide, and voila, the terminals are now free. So one by one, we are going to disconnect them. If you're riding this bike as it's meant to be ridden, chances are these connectors are a little dirty, or if it's an older model, just know there is no locking tabs, just friction holds them in place. So pull gently from the base of the bullet terminal, not from the wire, and you should be good to go. Now we will grab our brake light modulator harness, specifically for the TW200, nice overmolded piece, all plug and play. We even have some directions imprinted on the overmold that says the tail light. That means these connectors will go to the tail light, these connectors will go to your bike side harness, and this white rectangular connector will go to our brake light modulator. Being that everything is right here, we can actually go ahead and snake the white connector underneath and in between the fender and the undertail and the subframe. And then we're going to connect these color by color. So we have yellow, we'll do that one first. And please make sure when you're doing this, you keep the bike in the off position. Anytime you're working with electrical, just disconnect it, turn it off. Black to black is next, and there's no proper order to do this. When you are using these connectors, make sure you hear an audible click or you feel it. That means that they are seated properly. And you can push pretty hard, and voila. Slip these rubber sleeves over the terminals, make sure they're seated fully. And then we're gonna do the same on this side. Slip the rubber sleeves over these bullet connectors as well. And there we are. Now we're going to feed this back through, go under the bike once again. Let's go ahead and route these cables as neatly as possible. In the meantime, pivot this up, and then we'll go underneath, secure our brake light modulator to the subframe, and be ready to ride. So with your white connector protruding and routed through the fender, you can see here. Now we're going to grab our brake light modulator unit, and we're going to feed this white connector over this bar. This is just the fender, so you can actually flex it a little bit, not too much. We're going to go ahead and do that. Plug this in and test the light out. Make sure that this does work, and once we verify that it is functional, we'll go ahead and secure this to the subframe and call it a day. So now that I'm testing it, I can see that that is on, and it is functioning as intended. Perfect. So I'll turn the bike off. We're going to grab our provided zip ties in our brake light modulator packaging and secure this to the subframe. So as you can see on the brake light modulator, there actually is a small channel there that a zip tie can rest in. So we're going to go ahead and use that to secure this to the subframe. Pull this down. And go ahead and start the zip tie. Perfect. And then we'll grab our second zip tie and secure it as well to the rear section of this subframe. What I'm actually going to do is, just to make it a little bit cleaner for my personal preference, route it behind this turn signal connector. Nice clean installation. We can snip off the excess of these zip ties. This is secured to the subframe, the connector is secured, and we can finalize this installation by reinstalling these bolts the 2 bolts that we removed from the OEM fender. Then we'll cut off the excess and we'll call it a day. with those bottomed out, all that is left is we need to cut off the excess from our zip ties. So we will do that now. Give it a nice clean look. And I think this installation is complete. Let's go ahead and check our work one last time. Brake lights on. Brake light flashes. So this installation is now complete. If you want to check out this product or any other product we have for the Yamaha TW200, such as our integrated taillight and fender eliminator system, be sure to stop by our website, tstindustries.com. The link is in the description of this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment field below. Reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all username TST Industries. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn that notification bell on. This has been Mark from TST Industries. Catch you guys next time.
For mode selection and rate adjustment, we will need to get inside this capsule to access the electronics. These two Phillips head screws will need to be removed. What I like to do is unscrew them until they disengage from the receiving threads and leave them in the cap. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to lose them. If we pull them off with the cap, they are self-captive. All right, now we'll identify the parts here. This button is the mode selector, and this potentiometer is your rate adjuster. Clockwise is faster, counterclockwise is slower. Let's first do our selection of modes. With the brake pressed, press the button once to toggle to the next available program. Now the brake does have to be pressed so that the unit powers up, otherwise you won't be able to make the selection. If you find that you've pressed the button but the selection has not been changed, just do it again with the brake pressed. So now we will go on to the next program, press the brake once more, press the button once, and now you're in the next mode. Now we've switched twice, so pressing it one more time will return to the original mode that your unit arrived in. Now for rate adjustment, we'll be using the potentiometer. With the brake pressed, we can turn it clockwise to make it go faster, counterclockwise to decrease the rate. Now in brake alert, you will only have 9 flashes to make your adjustment, and then it'll stay solid. This one doesn't actually lend itself to really fast flashing at the top of the range. Bottom of the range is unusable, so I like to set it somewhere towards 3/4 to maybe 80% clockwise, and that does it for me. Now if we change to the next one, this one is the pulsar, and this one just keeps on flashing, so I like to have it going pretty fast here. Choice is really up to you. If you want to explore the next mode, we have the intermittent pulsar. This one to me belongs somewhere close to the top of the range, makes it the most visible. But again, freedom means choice. The decision is ultimately up to you. Once you're done with your adjustment and you're where you want to be with all your modes and rates, replace the cap, turn the screws back in, and it really is just that simple. Replace your brake light modulator in the space that you decided to keep it, and you're good to go.